What's up and welcome everybody. It is September 24th, Wednesday. That means it's time for patch notes. Now, some people out there will be like, wait a minute. This is technically the fourth Wednesday of the month, and usually patch notes is on the third Wednesday. To those people, I say, don't worry about it. We're going to bring you the same great information 1 week later. Sometimes we got to adjust the schedule. It's no big deal. Relax. Dan, how the heck are you?
It's great to be here. And when you started that, Zach, I thought you were going to say, some people are going to say, where is Mary Kish?
Some people are going to say, where is Mary Kish?
Okay.
No, you're right. Some people are going to say that.
And they're stuck with us today, unfortunately.
That's true. Yeah,
right.
But that's okay. We've got a good show mapped out. Dan, before we get into it, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that we're in the midst of a video game golden age. We've got Hollow Knight Silksong is out. Hades 2, long anticipated, coming out this week. Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, Ghost of Yote. That's just in the next couple of weeks. I mean, if you're a gaming streamer on Twitch, you've got a lot of options right now. Dan, will you be playing any of these hit video games?
Well, as you may know, I'm not a gamer, but all these games I know, there's so many that I want to find time to play and stream. Unfortunately, my schedule has not afforded that because, in fact, I enjoy doing that, when I stream. And by the way, I'm just looking at chat right now. I want to make sure mine still shows emote only.
Yes, we should be switching that over any minute.
Okay,
so
good.
We'll make sure that happens. Yeah.
Just making sure we switch it over because mine was still showing emote only. But it's funny when you said that. I've seen all these charts showing, the games that are coming out, and that you talked about it in the golden age. There was this kind of backlog because they stopped doing so much production during COVID, and now it's just ramping up, and there's just so much coming out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. This year has been a great year for games. The last couple of years have actually been really great. Every year, a handful of just killer games coming out. So we're going to get into the show. Dan, we're not here to talk about video games, although I would. But no, we're going to talk about patch notes type of stuff. And what is patch notes type of stuff? We're here to talk about product updates. We're here to talk about information pertinent to the modern streamer. Dan, before we do that, I also want to ask, usually we do a check-in right off the top. Where have you been? What have you been up to? I feel like you're usually gallivanting around the globe. It's spreading goodwill and cheer.
I have been traveling over the last month, actually a little less than normal. I'm at home right now, but I am getting ready to go to GP Explore in France, which I'm really looking forward to. This is a big event. Lots of streamers are going to be there. And then I'm going to be in LA and then TwitchCon. So I've had, some brief moments where I have not traveled in much, except like going down to San Francisco and stuff like that. So, but it's heating up. I'm also going to be down in Mexico where there's an F1 racing event that some streamers are doing on Twitch, and down in LA too. So a lot coming up.
That is awesome. You got a lot of travel coming up. I am also thinking about attending TwitchCon this year. I'm excited to finally get down there and check it out, see what it's all about.
Finally,
yeah.
You can get to see it.
Are we ready to get into today's show? Or are we done fooling around here?
Yeah. So let's remind people, if you have a question, please put ! ask. It makes it a little easier for the team that grabs those questions. I keep an eye on chat, and sometimes I might catch it while we're in the middle of it. But in general, what we do is we go back and cover questions at the end and have people back on. So feel free to put it and add ! chat. Okay. And with that, let's get going. Our first guest is Trevor is going to come on and talk about a number of things in terms of our safety, because we have a number of improvements in terms of the analytics page and a bunch of other things. Trevor Fisher is someone who you've been on. How many times have you been on, Trevor?
Maybe like 8, but it's been a long time.
What I thought.
I was going to say too many to count. Trevor is probably our most awarded and most participatory guest on Patch Notes. I feel like you've been on many, many times, Trevor. It's always a pleasure to have you on. You're on today to talk a little bit about our moderation tools update. And I believe you wanted to start by talking a little bit to us about some moderation analytics page updates. So why don't we start there, Trevor?
Yeah, sounds good. And it's good to be back. I have kind of a collection of items to talk about this week, maybe 3 or 4. And hopefully there's sort of something for everybody in there. So the first one I wanted to talk about is a new page that we're introducing that brings more visibility into different mod actions that happen and moderation related activity that happen during your stream. This is a new moderation analytics page. It'll be available on both web and mobile. With all of the work that we're doing these days, we're trying to make sure that we bring it to mobile as well, because we know we have a lot of people on there. And it will give you a recap of things like which users were banned or timed out during your stream, which of your mods were the most active and what they were up to. And then it will also help you take certain follow-up actions so that, for example, one thing that streamers have been telling us they want help with is going through and reporting people who got banned during their stream, because taking the time to report during the stream is often not possible. If you're going through, though, and you see there's people who shouldn't have been banned, you can also, in this follow-up view, you can take the moment to unban those people. The goal overall with this is to just provide more visibility into what's going on, what might have happened during your stream that you didn't. Maybe you were aware of it, but there's so much happening when you're streaming that it's hard to keep track of it all. And so when you can take a moment after the stream, when you're looking at your stream summary, you can also take a look at this and see what happened on the moderation side.
Yeah. So Trevor, I'll just say, I like this. I know I've had that situation. The other situation that happens sometimes is, of course, your moderators are, trying to protect you, and they ban someone, and then it's good to see what they did. Make sure that you sort of agree with whatever it is. Maybe it should be a timeout. Maybe it's just a limited ban because you don't think it's bad. So it's good to be able to have it all in one place and then take the actions you think are right.
For sure. For accessing this page, just to cap it off, you can access it from wherever you find your moderation settings. And so on web, that's in the dashboard. In the mobile apps, that's from the settings menu that you have there. You'll also be able to access it from the stream summary email. There will be a new section in that email that brings you to this page specifically. And also from the stream summary, the regular analytics will also have a little hook that lets you know that you have moderation analytics to look at also, so that you're aware that this is there for you. And this page, we're looking to bring it out in around 2 weeks from today.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Great. All right. I think Trevor, your next topic is on mod settings, right?
Yeah, next up is mod settings. So this one is something that we've been testing for a couple of weeks, and so some people will have seen it already. This is an update to the moderation settings page in the dashboard. I'd say that the biggest overall change here is that we're making these settings available in the mobile apps now, which they had not been. And so that's probably the most consequential thing we're doing here. But in addition to that, we are also streamlining, redesigning the way that the settings are laid out on this page. And so we've grouped them into 3 blocks that you see here with the sliders. The sliders, you're probably sort of familiar because that's a interface that we've used in the past for automod settings, but now the same sort of high level control of your settings is available for each of these, so that especially for newer streamers who are looking at this for the first time, if you want to just kind of make a choice so that you can have something set up for yourself quickly, and then maybe later you can come back and think about the advanced settings. That's what we were aiming for with these sliders. And so the settings here are, the first one, chatter permissions. You can think of this as who can chat on my channel. And so we have controls under this, like if people need to be phone verified to chat on your channel or need to follow the channel. After that, we have the automod and message filtering. This is about what can people say on my channel, and automod is the biggest part of this. And then the last section is sort of a little bit less straightforward. I would describe this as kind of like who can be here. And so there are some settings about who's allowed to follow your channel. This is if you've experienced harassment through people following your channel with offensive usernames or things like this, then there's a control under there that you can say that people need to phone verify to follow your channel. There's also the ban evasion detection setup is here, and then the control that we have to stop users that you ban from your chat from continuing to watch the stream. So yeah.
Trevor, I'm just asking because I'm sure other folks have this. When you look at what you're showing, you have the little like icons, and sometimes you have 2 filled in and sometimes 4. And what's the semantics of that?
I mean, for the most part, what it is when there's the 4 shields there are hollow, like you see on they're all hollow, like you see on followers only mode under chatter permissions. That's something that's entirely off. And then if they're all full, if they're all white, it would be in this dark mode. Then that's something that's entirely on, and it's the phone verification is required for all chatters, for example, would be all the way on. What it means for each setting is a little bit different, though, and I think that that's something where it's kind of a challenge that we have to balance with these settings, because we've built up a lot of tools over time, and so I think that we're trying to reach people with an idea here of it's a little bit hard to put
How
it.
strong
But
I think let me put words.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get a visual cue about, have you turned this up as high as possible, which it's not so
Right.
much semantics, because everything doesn't break down into 4 steps, but you're just
Right.
trying to give them this very quick, which, by the way, from looking at it, that's what I thought it was. I thought it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this means I am, I if I turn it up all the way, I'm kind of as safe or as careful as I can be along
Yeah.
this dimension. And if it's less, then I don't. And I like the fact that it's, you're just catching a visual thing that my eyes recognize right away, as opposed to having it vary, because some things has 3 levels and some things have 7 levels, and it'd just be confusing otherwise.
Yeah, I think that when something's all the way off or all the way on, those are the states that are the easiest to understand. But for a lot
Right.
of the settings that we offer, there is something that's somewhere in the middle. And so, like you said, that's kind of a decision that we leave up to streamers in a lot of these cases of how careful do you want or do you need to be on your stream? How, for example, how aggressive do you want to be with requiring people to phone verify before they chat in your channel? Because that's a setting where you can say everybody has to do it, but you can also make a choice, for example, like, okay, if their account was made within the past week, then that's a really new account. Those people have to phone verify. And so for some of these settings, you'd probably need to click into the advanced settings to see exactly what's going on with them. But typically there's some sort of intermediate state so that you can make a choice that's not it's all the way on or it's all the way off.
You kind of answered my question here, but going into the advanced settings, I assume will show what these shields actually, like what they mean in terms of like how severe the like there's examples of what that moderation looks like within those settings.
Right. Yeah. So you can pop open all the advanced settings with one click from the top right where it says show all, or you can just pop them open for each individual section. Inside the advanced settings, it'll make it very clear what, for example, some chatters means under phone verification. Like I said earlier, one of the options there is you can have that set based on how old the account is, or how recently it was created. So that level of detail is all provided under the view advanced settings menus. In general, I would say, compared with the previous design of this page, there's no information that's lost. It's all still available here, but for some of it, you'll have to pop up and look at the advanced settings to see it. And the one other thing I wanted to say about this page is that if you had previously set up moderation settings for your channel, we won't have overwritten anything. So the settings that you have applied on your channel will all still be as they were previously. Last up on this one, this page, I said at the top, it's currently rolled out to 50% of users. We're evaluating results, but I think expecting also to bring this out to more users in the next, more people in the next couple weeks.
Actually, I noticed a question in chat that I think the answer is no, but I think it's a good idea, Trevor. So I wanted to read it off so we take it into account. Is there an option for account age related restrictions on following and chatting rather than a follow duration with this? Meaning that a streamer can say, look, if you're 16, I don't want you chatting, in my channel, which I think the answer is no, but it's an interesting idea, right?
Well, I mean, so are they asking about the how old the users are, or how long they've had their accounts for?
No, how old, age of the user, saying, look, in general, my channel is designed more for, people over 18 in terms of chatting. So I think they're talking about the age of the viewer.
Got it.
Right.
For that,
and who they
I
feel
would say,
comfortable with engaging on their channel.
yeah, I think that's something that we haven't considered at the level of the chat settings. That's something that
Right.
I think there's a gate that, or these content classification labels that people can use for their channel,
Right.
for the content, what they're streaming, but
For the content, but we haven't. So I just thought I'd call it out. I think it's an interesting idea that we should keep in mind, this idea that a streamer might, make choices about that. And of course, we do have that information. So something to put on the list to keep in mind.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Right on. Trevor, to me, I think this sounds to me a little bit like a pre-shield mode, right? Like shield mode is sort of reactionary. This is like setting up things that you want to implement onto your channel and ensure that they're there from the jump. So
I think that's a good way of thinking about it. Yeah, if I could just say a little bit on that. I think shield mode, when we built that, part of what we did was we made an assumption that there was some sort of preset, some group of settings that we could specify that would be a good start for most people. So that the first time you turn on shield mode, if you haven't thought before about what settings do I want to activate with this, there will still be something that comes on for you that probably will do a pretty good job. And I think that this page is kind of comparable to that, where with what you're setting up here, it's for your regular channel settings, the ones that are on all the time, not just during the shield mode type emergencies. But it's a similar approach where with these sliders, we're sort of giving you suggestions of, if you want to be medium careful, then here's a medium setting that you can apply. And then if you want to dig in further, then that option's also available to you.
Right on. Trevor, you yesterday described your appearance on the show as a grab bag, and I assume that means that you've got something else that you want to share with us as well. What else have you got for us?
One more item in your bag. You're like a Mary Poppins, Trevor. Okay, maybe I'll just start calling you Mary Poppins.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Mary Kish, something has to be Mary, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's got to be yes. Yeah, last thing up, I think this is something that, this is, in a way, it's sort of a smaller item, but I think it's something that a lot of people will be happy about. We're making a couple of updates to the chatters viewer cards, the stuff that you see in there as a moderator specifically. The first one is that we're adding some logs for dropped messages. These are messages that users tried to send but that didn't get delivered to chat. We've gone in and added those logs for a few different things in the past. Like one that we added not that long ago was if a user sends a message that contains a term that's a blocked term on your channel, those appear in their message logs on their viewer card now. That didn't used to be the case. But in any case, the one that we're adding now is for chatters who are flagged as suspicious users. Messages from those chatters may have been dropped previously if you used the restricted state for them. But those drop messages weren't making it into the logs, and so now those are making it into the logs. And I'm hopeful that will make that sort of state that a user can be put into more useful for you, so that you're not losing that context. The other thing that we're doing with the viewer cards is we're implementing real-time updates to the messages and the mod actions tab. And so if you have the viewer card open for a chatter, then as their messages, if they continue sending more messages, those messages will immediately populate in the messages tab in their viewer card, so that you don't have to close it and then reopen it to see them.
And then reopen.
Yeah, something we've wanted to do for a while, but this happened to be the time for it, and so we're getting to that. Also within, I've said it for my other updates, but also within the next couple weeks. I had one last thing I wanted to say, which is a little tease, but definitely stay tuned for TwitchCon next month, because we have one more feature that's coming out from my team that people have wanted us to build for a long time.
Yeah. But he's not going to tell you here.
No.
The only way to hear is you have to go to TwitchCon. Well, not really.
You can tune in. You can tune into the opening ceremony. Yeah. Now, what are the odds we get Trevor out on stage for this update? I think it's time. During the OC on the main stage, Trevor Fisher finally in the
maybe
flesh.
in a nice outfit. Maybe we need him in a
Suit.
banana outfit. How about that?
Trevor, a lot of great updates today. Really streamlining a lot of moderation stuff and making moderation a lot easier. I see a lot of questions popping off in the chat, and as a friendly reminder, we do a Q&A segment towards the end of the show. So Trevor, I'm going to send you on your way, but we'll bring you back at the end of the show to answer some of these questions and chat with you further. Thanks, bud.
Thank you, guys.
See you soon. Dan, up next, we're always excited to welcome somebody new to the show, somebody who's never been on Patch Notes. And so I want to welcome, for the very first time, Ashely onto our show from our partnerships team. Hello, Ashely.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
How are
Long-time
you?
listener.
Ashely Pardue.
Long-time listener, first-time appearance. Welcome, Ashely. You're here to talk to us about some updated partnership criteria. I know people are excited to learn more about this. So yeah, lay it on us. What do you got cooking for partnerships?
Yeah. So quick intro. I am Ashely Pardue, also the Buttress. I was a streamer before starting work here at Twitch in 2019. I used to build and customize Gundam models, which led to me being on live stream fails like 8-9 times in the past. So lots of experience on that side of things.
You're a live stream fails star. You're a live stream fails star is the right way to put it.
Too many times. Yeah. All back in the day, so I'm sure you won't find it anymore.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, the question is, will you now be back on live stream fails because something messes up here? Let's
don't say that while we're live.
Everything out of the way. I was like, let's move everything out of the way just so I don't knock over a trash can or something.
Right.
I'm
knocking on wood as we speak.
Yeah.
Ashely, with that out of the way, now that we've welcomed that into the atmosphere, tell us about partnership criteria and try your best not to end up on Reddit.
Yes, exactly. My baby, though. So we're updating the path to partner achievement. Big hype there. So for those who have applied before, you're probably in the same boat as Dan, myself, several others, that we've been denied partnership at least once, maybe more. And a very common reason for that for being denied is not meeting that viewership requirement consistently. So we've made an update to our requirements, viewership requirements that are now going to be updated on the dashboard as well. And this update to the achievement will ensure that you meet their viewership requirements before you can apply, in fact. So to give you kind of like a rundown scenario here, historically, you could always complete the achievement, which allowed you to apply. And for maybe a variety of different reasons, you were still denied that partnership. So maybe you take a break, your schedule changes and your viewership drops a little bit, but you go back to the path to partner achievement and you see that you're still eligible for partnership for some reason. So you go ahead and apply again and you get a denied again surprise because nothing's really changed. Moving forward with this update, we will clearly display your eligibility within that achievement, and the ability to apply will only open when you actually meet those viewership requirements. So, however, you will have 30 days to apply without any drop in viewership actually negatively affecting you. So this will minimize instances of confusion where you believe you're eligible for partner, but maybe you're actually not.
Well, one of the confusing things, and I want to explain to folks as to at least why it was like this, okay, and it's been like this for a while. Originally, there was the criteria for being accepted, but there was a lower criteria for being able to apply so that we could handle the situation of somebody fastly rising, right? So usually, Ashely can talk about, in fact, Ashely, I'll ask you in a second to go through what the requirements are, but usually we look over a 2-month window. We used to look, more with stricter, but whereas you can trigger it without meeting what is our standard things. And of course, we put a message that says, check here to make sure you qualify. But this, you can now apply. That hasn't worked. And again, the reason was, well, what if someone was getting 800 ACCB really quickly, right? Can you get, and the answer is you can, but now we have a process where anyone that is sort of quickly exceeding these things, we have other ways to catch them. So this is going to make a lot more sense to viewers. It's like, for any of the numbers reasons, if you can apply, you are satisfying the numerical requirements. That doesn't mean, why don't you talk about some of the other requirements that we mentioned that, could still mean, it doesn't mean you're definitely being accepted, but it means you're most likely being accepted. So just talk about the other, things that we do.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The path to partner achievement does not guarantee that you get partnership. It's just a very good guide of, you have the viewership here. We obviously are looking for authentic, genuine viewership. And a lot of the other things, while we have reduced the criteria a lot, now we're not looking at raid viewership anymore. We're not too critical on content. Like, as long as you're following TOS and the community guidelines, you are, we're trusting that the reports will come in for that. So really the only other requirements are just maintaining, not getting any suspensions of TOS for 60 days. And that viewership is authentic.
Right. I mean, one thing you mentioned, which is important, we do look to see if you're botting yourself or something like that. And, that's not fully automated. We take a look and we make sure this is authentic viewership. So that is an aspect in this. But I think this will be very nice that now I think our accept rates will go up drastically. And the nice thing also, you mentioned this, but one of the things that happened before was you'd qualify, but if you didn't apply right away, then when you applied, you may no longer qualify. And so now if you qualify, then as long as you apply within 30 days, you're still qualified by those parameters, which will be nice.
Yeah. Let me touch on that too. So the final requirement, finally the requirements overall, instead of the 3 requirements that are currently on the achievement, just get those out of your head. We don't require how many specific hours or anything, but we're now asking for 6 individual streams of 75 average viewers each, both in the last 30 days and the previous 30 days, to show consistency in your growing and retaining of your community. There was a dog in the background, Zach. I saw that. But do you want to hear the best news? Because of like you said, Dan, because we're only looking for those 6 streams of 75 average viewers, any other streams with lower viewership will not count against you. Meaning you can stream a variety of different content with different levels of viewership, and as long as you hit that minimum of 6 streams, 6 eligible streams, you're good to apply. Yeah.
I'm glad about that feature, because you always have this, I'm low, should I stream today or not? You don't have to worry about that at all. It makes sense that having a stream that doesn't have as many people does not work against you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right on.
All right.
Yes, that was my dog in the background. She's just returned from work. Thank you for pointing that out. Longtime Patch Notes viewers might remember from back in the day when I used to host the show with Ray, when Ray relentlessly taunted me about not being a partner, despite the fact that I was working towards it. Ashely, I consider this my application for partner. Please help me out.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you so much.
I was sad Mary wasn't going to be on here today, because I remember when her application came through back in the day.
Yeah, Ashely, how long have you been here?
Since April of 2019. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, one thing that I saw in chat quickly that I just wanted to answer, because they ask, if you're a partner and then it dips below, or you no longer a partner, and just partners know this. Once you achieve partner, you retain partner unless you do something that doesn't align with our brand or something pretty egregious. So that is, once you're there, and you keep that, because really it is a signal of what you've achieved at some point. So once a partner, always a partner.
Yeah, right on. Again, Ashely, I see several messages for you, several questions, so we're going to bring you back. We have a couple of short updates for you, and then we'll get into the Q&A segment. Before you go, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rank your first Patch Notes appearance?
It's like riding a bike or being a streamer again. I was a little nervous, sweaty before, but I'm good now.
Yeah. All right.
And by the way, I saw the question, so I'm just going to answer it real quick. It's 6 times within the last 30 days and 6 times in the previous 30 days, right? So you have to show, and the reason for that is consistent. We want to see that you're consistently streaming, and you can consistently get your audience, as opposed to, oh, you had a good raid today, and so your audience spikes up. Question is, has your community grown to some level so it's 6 in the last 30, and then you go back another 30 and another 6? Somebody was asking that. 2 30-day periods. Yep.
Yes.
All right.
All right, we'll see you momentarily. Dan and I are going to cruise through a few of these updates, starting, Dan, with Hype Train emotes. We talked a little bit about this last month, but what do you want to tell us about Hype Train emotes?
All right, we talked about it. We have 5 new Hype Train emotes. They dropped last week in honor of SUBtember, designed by Tom Thinks, the same guy who brought us the Fairy Mod Mother and her adorable pal Subby. Enjoy 5 color waves to wave high, clap your hands together in glee, sweat, say wow, or show some serious love.
Tom Thinks is the best. If you are not checking out Tom Thinks, I would highly recommend you do that. Tom is a illustrator and animator here on Twitch. He does live animation, which is so super cool. He's kind of at the forefront of that, and we've worked with him off and on throughout the course of the years. Just a genuinely very nice and extremely creative and funny dude. Highly recommended follow from this channel. So yeah, check him out. Dan, are you going to be using these emotes in your streams?
I am excited. Good. Well, I have to get to the Hype Train levels, right? And I haven't been streaming.
I think you can do it.
I think I can. I haven't been streaming as much because I've been so busy. I mean, I'm going to stream at the GP Explorer. I think I'm going to stream once before then. And with TwitchCon, I stream a lot there. So I think I will be getting there. I probably will be able to cross my fingers, get some Hype Trains going.
Right on. Let's move into our next quick update, which is, of course, Stream Rewind. We talked about this back at TwitchCon in Rotterdam during your keynote, but later this week, we are launching Stream Rewind on web. For those of you that can't decipher, that is the ability to view or pause or scrub back at any point using live stream, using the progress bar, and resume watching the live stream, clicking the live button. Over to you, Dan.
Yep. So, look, it's a feature I've been looking forward to us getting out. It keeps viewers connected as they pause or rewind. Chat continues to stay live, so you can see the hype and understand what's happening in the live stream. So the idea is that you're still there, you're trying to catch up, and then you come back. It's going to be available on web for all channel and turbo subs first as part of a phased rollout. Now, unfortunately, to start, it's not on mobile. That's simply because we wanted to get this out as soon as possible, and mobile was going to be a little delayed. So we're launching it on web. We're working on mobile. And I want to highlight one thing so people understand. We are launching initially for channel subs and turbo subs. We are working to make it available for everyone. The reason we are limiting that initially is because there's work we need to do regarding to make sure ads still work with ad blockers and it doesn't become a way to get around ads. So we are working on that because that's going to be important to our streamers in terms of their ability to sustain that revenue. It's an important part of the revenue for many of our streamers. So that just takes a little more work, and we wanted to get this out. So it's just for turbo and channel subs currently, but we're working on rolling it out to everyone.
Nice. In addition to that, just really quickly, Stream Rewind will be available to all partners and affiliate channels and can be enabled in VOD settings. If they are enabled and auto-published, streamers who already have both settings enabled will have Stream Rewind automatically enabled. So a nice way to catch up on a stream if you're running late. If you've missed something important, Stream Rewind, highly requested, now soon to be available to all, which is exciting.
Well, and let me add one thing that I know will come up. It does require you to have VODs on, okay, because we use the VOD. That's how it is done, and in terms of our rights to do this. Unfortunately, this means right now it's not going to be available for DJ channels. We wish that wasn't the case, but with DJ channels, because of the rights, we don't have the VOD settings on. So we're trying to figure out a way that that can be solved. But there's complexities in terms of rights in those cases. So just wanted to explain that.
Okay, awesome. Dan, we're gonna transition over to the Q&A segment, but before that, I know you wanted to give a quick update about TwitchCon San Diego. You had some stuff to say, so I wanted to turn it over to you and let folks hear.
Yeah. So we've been getting before we get into answering the questions. There's one question that has been coming up on social media, just in terms of safety and security at TwitchCon in light of recent events. So I want to be very clear. We take security at our events like TwitchCon extremely seriously. Every year, we build on a successful approach to TwitchCon safety and security, particularly as we become aware of new or emerging security or safety challenges. So we have teams focused on this year-round, including keeping creators and community members safe on Twitch or at TwitchCon. We have rules and standards regarding TwitchCon attendees that they have to follow. And we limit, for example, if people who've been indefinitely suspended, off-service violations, they're not able to attend. We also look for things that need to protect our streamers and any other issues or that have violated our code of conduct. Harassment of any kind is unacceptable. We have a zero tolerance policy there. Very excited about TwitchCon, and I wanted to just highlight, we're taking a close look just to make sure we are as buttoned up as we have been in the past. I can tell you I've been backstage where the team keeps track of everything, and it's very impressive. So, and we have we invest a lot of resources in this. So I feel very good about what the team's doing, and really looking forward to TwitchCon. It's going to be a blast.
Right on, Dan. Thank you for that update. Just to reiterate there, our community safety is like of the utmost importance to us, and especially in these like big public gatherings and stuff like that. And like Dan said, we've seen the sort of the security measures and the surveillance areas and stuff like that, and it's really impressive. So hope to see you all out there shortly. Dan, let's get into the question and answer period of our show.
I want to start off. It's time to bring Trevor back.
With bringing Trevor back in. Yeah. Hi, Trevor.
All right.
What have you been doing?
Why don't we just alternate asking the questions? Does that sound good, Zach?
Sure.
I'll do first. You do second.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
From Najin Reed. So question, is this also available for mods themselves? So as a recap of the stream you missed for the mod?
Yeah, this was, I think, about the moderation analytics page. This is also available to moderators. And there's also a couple of extra places where we're putting ways for moderators to access the page. And so one of those is on the mod actions widget in mod view. After the stream ends, there will be a little thing you can click to go to the analytics. And the other is that you'll get, if you have the site or the app open, then you'll get a little on-site or in-app notification that tells you that a streamer's mod analytics are ready for you to check out.
All right. Zach.
Trevor, this next question comes from Zach Ryan, host of Patch Notes. What have you been doing since you were on the show? What do people do in their downtime when they're not on Patch Notes?
Oh gosh. You mean in the several months that I haven't been on the show?
No, I just mean in the 7 minutes since we saw you last. What have you been up to?
Reading chat. I didn't follow Zach's question either, Trevor. I was a little lost too. So, I have a question for Zach. Why do you ask silly questions like that?
It's okay. you gotta ask some funny questions sometimes. No, this is a real question, Trevor, from Nightmare Joker 2, who asks, is there an option for account age related restrictions on following and chatting rather than a follow duration with this?
This is not the question about age. He later clarified here it's just on age of account.
Yeah, how long the person has had this account for. That isn't something we offer right now. I think the closest that we've come for that is there's like maybe something in shield mode that lets you stop first time chatters from chatting, but that's a little different, and that's also specific to shield mode. I'll say on this one, I think that it's a good idea. It's something we've thought about doing in the past, and we'll think about it again. It's a very
Although,
restricted
Trevor,
setting in some
Trevor,
ways,
this was what I was going to say. In terms of being useful, first of all, in terms of age and account, there are people who've created bogus accounts that are quite old.
Mhm.
Right. So we do know that people have, and number two, I think often age of following, duration of following is actually a stronger signal. Of course, if you must be following for 6 months, then by definition, the account needs to be 6 months age, right?
Mhm.
So you can proxy, following length is a limited proxy for this. I do think it's an interesting idea. But I do think in terms of, I want to catch people that are just out creating account quickly. I think the follow one and limited, I know I often limited, you can do that for a window of time or something.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that the fact that the followers only chat covers a lot of the same territory is the main reason why we haven't done something like this yet. But I do at the same time understand where people are coming from when they ask for this.
Especially for people making accounts, they don't want to go into follower only chat.
Yeah.
And I don't think they need the same restriction like a year, 2 years, 3 years. But really what they're saying is don't allow someone who just created an account in the last week or something like that, or in the last hour, just stop. They ban someone, they go and create another account, they come back. They are, they're being a pain. So I think that I don't think you need the same granularity, but they don't want to go into follower only chat because they don't want to force people to follow, but they want to stop those people that are, have a 10-minute old account.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's true that we have seen that there are people who create accounts and then sit on them for a long time before using them for bad purposes. But it is also true that some people get banned and then immediately go
and then they create another account right away. So I think it's kind of like account age greater than 2 days or something like that, or 1 week and just have one option. Anyway, let's go to the next one. That's not for Trevor. Okay. Is there a way to set a default view? This is from Hornet something Ma. All right. Is there a way to set default view for a moderation for a user even when they sign into a new device? I regularly to minimize some stuff to dock if my PC went through a restart.
Yeah, if I'm understanding what they're getting at, I know for mod view that we store the information about what layout you're using there. We stored that on the front end, which means that basically your browser knows what you have set up, but it's not in any database that Twitch is keeping up behind the scenes. That if you were to log into your account on another computer or something like that, then the information would be lost. That's not something that we have plans currently to change, but we have thought at sometimes in the past about kind of like providing some quick setup options for mod view that would maybe help with something like this. So not currently on the schedule, but appreciate that this can be annoying for people.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor, our next question comes from Zoe. They ask, will you ever set a situation where people can ban another creator's emotes? Sometimes creators don't get along, and it doesn't often make sense to explain every time to viewers that you don't get along, and can stir more drama than let things pass over time.
Yeah, for this one, so emotes, you can enter into chat by their the like plain text that makes them up. So you can write PogChamp, for example, into chat. I mean, a lot of people these days might use the what we call magic dots, where you enter a colon and then it helps you autocomplete the emote. But every emote has some text that you can type into chat that results in the emote being shown. And if you take that text, like for example, PogChamp, and you add that as a blocked term on your channel, then that will also stop people from using the emote. And so, yeah.
So you can effectively do this by just adding the text string from the emotes to your blocked terms.
To your channel block terms, right?
All right. Great.
If there's any reason why that doesn't accomplish what you're looking for here, Zoe, then let us know. But you can do that.
Okay. It'd be really nice to know if our reports resulted, and by the way, this is from Zori also, resulted in someone's punishment, or if the person reported was not found to be violating the TOS. I think as viewers and creators, we have no idea if we're shouting into the void when someone breaks the rules, and I think it discourages from actually reporting bad actors.
Yeah, on this one, I would say, in addition to, so when you send us a report, you'll get an email immediately that lets you know that we received it. In addition to that email, if we do take action on the account that you reported, you'll get a follow-up email that tells you we took action on this account that you reported. Though there is a requirement in there currently which says that we kind of need to have enforced the person taken action for a similar reason to what you reported them for. And so, for example, if you reported somebody for hate speech, but then we suspend them for gambling on stream, you wouldn't necessarily get an email confirmation for that case. But we are looking at expanding that so that you'll get more of this kind of information about when we take action on people that you report to us. Definitely appreciate that you want to have us close the loop for you.
All right.
This next one comes from Furl Flunch. They ask, as a moderator, I really would like a search bar for comments in the user card. Any plans to do that in the future?
Yeah, it's funny. It's the second time recently that I've seen a request like this. What we're planning to do about this one, not sure entirely yet on when exactly this will get out, but what we're planning to do for this one is let you input a date so that you can say, jump me to messages that this person sent a year ago, for example, or you can say, jump me to messages from this person that were sent in June. And so that will help you not have to just manually scroll back through everything that they've sent if it's someone who's been chatting a lot. It just happens that approach to it is going to be a lot easier for us than putting in like an exact string match so that you could jump to where they use a particular word. So it's that's when we get requests like this, we have to balance it against what's easiest for us to get out to people, and so that's probably the approach that we'll take here.
All right. Let's see. There's one question here that I'll go ahead and answer, okay, because I know it's kind of what can streamers do about malicious viewbots since the new anti-viewbot rollout? This is bad. It's interesting, Jesse, that you've said that that why it would be worse since that. We of course take this very seriously. If you do have malicious viewbots, please report them. Because then we can take action about the activity. And I hadn't heard anything about it going up at all since our viewbots, because as we've talked about, we've been working hard on detecting viewbots, and viewbots come in all shapes and sizes, and we've had some success there. So please report them, and that will be helpful for us. All right, I think that may be our last ones for Trevor, and it's ready to bring Ashely out.
Yeah. Trevor, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Patch Notes. I'm sure that we'll see you again, maybe at the opening ceremony on stage. So
I hope not. Thank you, guys.
Get that
Bye,
banana
Trevor.
outfit ready.
Take care. Welcome back, Ashely. I was prepared to ask you a silly question, but I've been shamed, so we'll just get right into the real
ready.
ones. Starting with Nagan Reed, who asks, is there a date of when the partner achievements are getting updated?
Very, very soon. Can I say that, Dan?
You can say when it's going out. You can give the date.
Yeah, before TwitchCon. Before TwitchCon is the goal there. So, yeah.
All right. Good. All right. Where can it says, where can we find the patch notes in new partner criteria? We don't mean patch notes. I think now I understand this question.
This is about late. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So we publish patch notes on YouTube, on the Twitch YouTube channel. How long does it take us to publish it usually, Zach?
Oh, usually it's up by the end of the day or the next day.
Okay, so just check back later and you can see the whole stream. And in particular, you can see the part where Ashely talked about the update to the partner achievement. Okay, so I'll go to the next one from Zach
Sure.
Busey. Hey, Zach, you keep saying 6 streams for 2 months. Is that correct? That's a reduction from the current 8. Correct. Ashely, why don't you talk about that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So it is a reduction from what we've had under the achievement, the little write-up there. The idea with this is 2 streams a week is kind of how we indicate, like, okay, you're a pretty solid streamer. You're taking this seriously. But obviously, maybe something comes up, so you don't quite hit the 8 streams in a month. Is the idea there.
Yeah. And by the way, one reason we've been lowering this, especially in terms of number of streams, is as we have more and more folks starting streaming coming from different, skills, expertise, whatever background in terms of what they stream, it's much easier to stream multiple times and long times as a gamer. You go on as a gamer, you just show up and game again. But that's harder if you're a music streamer, an IRL streamer, or something else. Of course, a lot of people stream all sorts of things, creative. And so some of the early requirements, I think, were really kind of had a little bit of bias because of the frequency that a gamer streamer could do. And we've been gradually making it a little more attainable. And so I feel really good about it. I think you said it well, Ashely. Think of it twice a month, but you're probably going to miss it twice if you're twice a week. If you're doing it twice a week, there are going to be a couple times when you miss it during the month. So yes, it is 6. All right, Zach, you take the next one.
Yeah, our next question comes from DJ Hallowed, who asks, will raids still count towards the 75 plus number? This is something I was interested in too, so I'm glad that this question was asked.
Yeah, so every form of viewership counts as long, obviously, as it's an authentic viewer. So raids will count towards that viewership, even embeds, things like that. So long as we just ask that the majority of the viewership comes from Twitch itself. So yeah, raids, everything. Like you can have someone raid you all the time. Yeah, if they raid you 6 times, like with over 75, that counts. It's just we didn't want to take it. We didn't want to take that anymore because it's almost like punishing you for having a good network and a good community, and
right.
That's how a lot of
it just added complexity. The idea was, can you do this regularly? But the reality is, if you get a raid every time you stream, because somebody raids you, and then those people stay, because the thing is, if your ACCV for the stream is going to be 75, you have to retain those people, right? And that's one thing that people often ignore about a raid. Suppose you get a big raid, but they're not interested in what you're doing. Then you see your ACCV does this, boink. And if you look at your ACCV for the entire stream, it won't be that higher from the raid. So really raids can, get your ACCV up, but that's because they come and they find you entertaining and engaging and everything else. So I understand why originally they did this. I really like the current policy because if you can retain people after a raid, that means you're doing a good job. Yeah. All right. I think those are our questions for Ashely.
Yes.
Good. Explained it well.
Well done, Ashely.
Okay.
An excellent first appearance on the show. I'm sure we'll have you back in future episodes. Thanks for hanging with us today. Yeah. Take care.
Right.
Thank you.
All
right,
right,
Dan. We're going to cruise through some of these questions. I'm going to go ahead and bounce these off of you, and you can feel free to answer as you see fit. Sound good?
Yeah. In fact, and this is what I'd say. Go ahead and start some, and we may switch where I read them and answer. We've got, I see here like 60 questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
And so sometimes the back and forth can cause us to move slow, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to me just bam, bam, bam. So why don't you do this, Zach? I know what I'm going to do. You be looking through at the ones that you think are, this is a pretty good question. Okay. And ask the ones that you think are like, I'll call meteor questions. And then any ones you don't ask, if the folks doing this, make sure they mark, take the ones off he asks, but grab the meteor questions. And then I'll make sure I still get back to the kind of ones that it should be a quick answer. Okay.
Sure. Why don't we start here with this question from Tech Neil, and I'll start looking for some questions for you.
Yeah. All right.
Technial asks, hi, regards the coming, I think this is regarding the coming pause rewind ability, will we have the choice to toggle that on and off? And to confirm, will it be coming to those who aren't affiliate or partner?
Right. So on the second part, yes, it will be coming to those who aren't affiliate or partner. Um, if your VOD is off, then it is toggled off. Okay. I don't think, I was talking with them yesterday and I was asking that, and now my memory, I don't think you can toggle it off except when your VODs are toggled off. Like you can't stop viewers from being able to use the feature, the partners, the ones that are able to use it. I think it's one thing we've talked about, and it's one thing we're considering before we go to general public. And that does take more work, right? So thanks for the question. Definitely considering whether that's something before we get it out to all the viewers.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dan, I turned it over to you to cruise through these questions.
All right. Let's see. Can you rewind and create a clip while live? Good question. But the answer is yes. Standard clipping experiences, no change. So if you're in rewind and you're creating a clip, that all works. Since the rewind feature is using the VOD, how does it interact with audio tracks? Will it only be able to use the VOD audio track? That's actually a good question that I'm not sure of the answer if you're using dual track audio, right? So maybe if some of the other folks are on the Twitch side are listening, reach out to the team and then put the question down lower with the answer if we get an answer in terms of 2-track audio, because it is the fact that when you don't have music, my instinct is it will not have the second track from my knowledge of technically how it's happening. So I'm pretty sure the answer is no. If you have 2-track audio, unfortunately, it won't be there. Why do analytics not show all viewers, even when they are real people currently chatting? Okay. They're limited, like to show all viewers for many channels. It's just too big, and it adds a lot of complexity to maintain that list and maintain it accurately. And for big streamers, it's usually not that helpful. So there's a limit in terms of how many people, because it's a system that was built a while ago. That's what it can support. It's always a good question of, should we do something different in the future? Maybe. We will see. So, will the ability to control settings for stream streaks be coming soon? And will there be an alert system for it that gets the Twitch alerts, will be able to see the trigger? Okay, so first of all, in terms of the control settings for stream streaks, I assume when they say stream streaks, they're talking about watch streaks here. Right, Zach?
Okay.
I
believe so. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And we are working on that, and we are going to be launching some changes to that, especially in terms of how you can maintain a streak going. And I'm not sure though about the control settings, so sorry I can't answer that right now. All right. Are there plans to add separate audio track that the viewer can control, such as mic volume, game alerts, etc.? It's a nice feature. It's one of those things that's kind of on the back list, so there's no short-term plans for that. But it's something that we'll keep in mind. So let's see. Is the Twitch viewer count no longer including lurkers? Or if they don't send a message? Many streamers have seen a drop in their view count over the last month. Big winks. We talked about this last month. So to be very clear, lurkers absolutely are counted in view counts. People mean different things by lurkers, okay? But I will define it here. So it's somebody who is watching the channel, but not chatting. Right now, there are tons of people that are watching this channel right now. They are not chatting. They are absolutely included in the ACCV. There's been some confusion about this because of this other system that shows users. It isn't updated at the same frequency it's an older system. It is the fact that with the view count updates, if you are a view bot, but we've worked really hard to make sure we are only detecting view bots in this. And some people have thought because they see one thing and that data is old in terms of the people in the channel. We absolutely count lurkers, and we've really looked hard to make sure we have not over scoped on the view bots. The other factor to be aware is there are limitations if you have a bunch of tabs open. So, like if you have 10 tabs open, you don't count as 10 viewers on 10 channels, because you can't be watching 10 channels at once. But lurkers absolutely count in the view count, to be very clear. All right. So here I'm going to ask one Uncle J-Pop, one that what is going on with the direct reduction of worldwide ingest servers? So this is a little more complicated. The thing that matters to you as a streamer is the distance between where you are and your transcode server, and how much of the public internet the video needs to travel before we transcode it, and which makes it more efficient in terms of fewer bits to transmit and all that. We have been moving away from our own dedicated hardware. In the past, Twitch had dedicated hardware. That is maintained even as we're part of Amazon, where we would maintain our own POPs. Okay, and this was primarily for egress, for sending the stream to the viewers, that we had POPs that we were running. We are now moving. We've been doing this for over a year, leveraging the Amazon infrastructure, and so far we have not seen any problems or degradation or anything. In fact, at times, sometimes it's better. In particular, we are increasing the number of POPs that have transcode servers by about 4x, okay, in doing this. Because now, as opposed to needing to have dedicated transcode servers, we're now using Amazon resources, and we can have a lot more transcode servers, and they can be closer to you, which is good. Now, what you see is, since we had the POPs there for egress, for streaming to viewers, we often used those same POPs for ingest, okay? And now we might go to a different point for ingest. There have been some people right now reporting some problems, which we're looking into, because we've been doing this over the last year. We have not seen problems, but we hear those folks that have been identifying some problems. There are a few regions where there can be, while our overall aggregate metrics look like there's no impact, we've identified a few regions where there may be some local issues that are creating some problems. And so we're digging into that. But don't get distracted by the number of POPs, because that's just because those used to be these dedicated things that we use for serving. But the proximity of that to you isn't the thing that matters. What matters to you is the proximity of the transcode servers, and we have more transcode servers. So thank you for that question. All right. Let's see. I'm going to keep jumping through to try and get the ones that sometimes what we do is we appreciate all the questions. Some of them are very specific, possibly to you, and so we try to go through the ones that are most general. Let's see. Okay. When will the new requirements for partner be reflected in the creator dashboard for the application for partner? I think we mentioned this earlier. That's going to be before TwitchCon, so that's coming up. Will there ever be another role between affiliate and partner, since affiliate became easier? Can we get a middle ground around 30 to 40 CC G-Wings? We always think about this, but we kind of need some tangible thing that it matters to you. And so it's something we're always kind of keeping in mind and considering, and we'll keep thinking about it. So far, we haven't decided to do something because we haven't come up with the idea that we think, this is worth it. But we're always thinking about this. Let's see. Coming to affiliates at all. Will Stream Team be coming to affiliates at all? So this is in general the Teams feature. I know it's something I'm very bullish on, kind of reimagining the Teams feature. I don't think it never delivered what we had been hoping on in terms of the impact, although I think it has a lot of the pieces, and we're looking at when and how we might update teams. And if we were to update teams, then yes, it would be available for affiliates. All right, let's see. Will streamers who receive a front page promotion ever be displayed on mobile? It'd be nice to get more exposure during a promotion. Denny, the answer is probably not. We have a lot more real estate on desktop to have a, the carousel, and then people scroll down. It's trickier on mobile because when people open the app, we want to quickly get them to something they want to see. And it just, the mobile app works a little differently. So it's something we've talked about, but we haven't come up with an idea there. Okay. Let's see. I'm just scanning through. Can you please change the analytics overview dashboard so it doesn't break out streams that go past midnight into 2 streams? Good call out. We'll take a look at that, understand the frustration. It's kind of challenging. There are various technical reasons why they do that. Do hype trains improve stream visibility to new viewers? Denny, I don't think hype trains do that as much as other activities, because hype trains are more a reflection of what your streamer's doing. So will there be an easier way to become affiliate? We've been working, we've lowered it some. I think we feel good about where the criteria is now. We also are launching the ability for people who are not affiliate yet to start monetizing. And so we probably won't be changing the affiliate layer soon, as we've already made that an update. Let's see if a sub. If I gift a sub anonymously during a hype train, the emotes are not awarded. Is this a bug? That does not sound correct at all. Just because you're anonymous shouldn't affect the emotes. Okay, so we'll check to see if that's the case. Despite the current changes, can brand and companies still apply for partnerships even if they don't necessarily have the minimum requirements? Yes, for people that have a strong presence outside of Twitch, we still have opportunities for you to reach out to us. If you're a brand, if you're have a strong following somewhere else, that sort of thing. Let's see. Can we schedule display ads? They don't interrupt the stream viewing. So no, you can't schedule the display ads. You do have the ability to control when ads are run in terms of interruptive ads. And scheduling display ads, we haven't built that yet, although that's an interesting idea. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Somebody says, are you aware of the issue on the app at the moment that means if you come back from a background player, there is no sound? I personally am not. I suspect that's an iPhone issue. I'm an Android user. I expect the team is, but I'll make sure they are. We've been working a lot on trying to catch these. So thank you. Let's see. Okay. How likely is it that Twitch introduces a yearly subscription of Twitch Turbo? Good question. I think the team is always looking at these longer durations, so I think there's a reasonable chance they'll look to do that. Is a person can be monetized multiple account and getting partner on them. You can get partner on multiple accounts. Partner applies to an account, not to a person. Okay, so yes, you can be partnered on multiple accounts. All right, some of these are very specific. There are plenty of channels streaming paid TV or college games, but don't store their VODs. How do you deal with a report like that? We take reports in real time for this as well. But to be clear, we don't know when someone has the copyright for something. This is an important part of DMCA. Sometimes it is clear that this is something we can take action on, and then we take action. But this is the reason we have the DMCA safe harbor. I mean, not safe harbor, the DMCA reporting, so that rights holders can inform us when people are doing this. Zach, do you see any ones that you think for sure I should get to?
Dan,
Why don't you do this? Keep looking and just interrupt.
There's so many questions here that I've been trying to like sort through and move things around in terms of like what I think should be answered. But I think you're doing a good job of kind of cruising through and picking them out. So
okay, so do this. Ones that you read that you think are general, just ask them in the flow. Okay.
Okay.
And say, hold on, I got one for you, Dan. Okay.
Sure thing. Okay.
Because what I do is I kind of scan them and try to figure out how specific or general. So any that are clearly you think we should definitely get to, just ask them.
Okay.
Let's see. Keep going. Is it possible to add when you rated someone last and not just how many times in the past month? No, it's an interesting feature. User voice is a good way to put these ideas in. So I encourage you to put these ideas in user voice when you have a concrete feature that you'd like us to implement, because that way, as opposed to me remembering to mention it to someone and all that, user voice is designed to get feedback from multiple people. So that would be great.
I do have one for you, Dan, that comes up quite a bit actually in our team.
All right.
This question comes from a Sora V. They ask, are inactive accounts ever going to be cleared out so usernames can be used that are inactive? This happens quite a bit actually.
So first of all, I want to make a comment about this phrase inactive accounts. Okay. A lot of people view inactive accounts as someone who hasn't streamed in a long time. Of course, our account space is both viewers and streamers. And so sometimes you can have someone who hasn't streamed in 10 years. It doesn't mean they haven't used the service. Number two, think of some account you have, okay, where you have a handle that you don't use for 5 years. And then you go back to that account and now they've taken that handle away and they've eliminated your account. You'd be like, hold on, what's going on? So it does get tricky because just because someone hasn't used an account, that doesn't mean it's inactive. Now, it's absolutely the case that there are some accounts that we know are inactive for various reasons. Okay. So we have talked about different efforts to try and reclaim those usernames so that other people can grab them. It does get tricky because, again, like it is a problem. People would be rightfully upset if we just took their account and shut it down. And so it is tricky, but we have been looking at that because I know there's a lot of interest in this. All right.
I like this question as well. This comes from King Alex, who asks, will we ever have an option to favorite emotes versus having only our frequently used? This is an interesting question because, I mean, I think there is a case to be made that if you're frequently using an emote, it means that it might be your favorite. But yeah, what do you think about this, Dan?
At first blush, it kind of goes to what you said, that if like adding complexity where you can go ahead and favorite emote even though you don't use it, it's a nice feature. I'm not saying it's not a nice feature. Everything is nice, but sometimes too many features add complexity, and you end up like your Microsoft Word, which is it's like I don't know how to use all these features. So I think that is the question. It's a nice feature. Everything takes some time and it adds product complexity. So the question is, do you want to add that? Since for most people, their frequently used emotes are their favorite emotes, and most people won't favorite things. That's just the reality. Okay.
Right on. Another question comes from King Alex. Same asker. He asks, streamers have watch streaks enabled, and I never miss a stream, but often come back and see my streak has been reset. What causes that? Are there any future plans to be able to regain your watch streak? This is like a more specific question, but I think the latter.
No, it's a good one because we've talked about this.
Exactly.
In the update to watch streaks that we're launching, you will be able to, it doesn't increment the watch streak, but you maintain the watch streak if you watch a VOD or a clip from the stream. Okay? And we're going to have notifications. So they're saying, hey, you have a 10 stream watch streak. You missed this stream. Check out this clip to maintain that watch streak. This is something I'm excited about. I think this was one of the problems with watch streaks. One reason they didn't roll it out fully was because they hadn't solved this issue. Some streamers were hesitant to stream at off hours or other strange times because it was breaking people's watch streaks, and they felt bad. So we needed a way to maintain watch streaks. All right, I'm going to grab one here from Jay Munns. What is the best way for an affiliate streamer to gain more viewers? Are tags important, or is there another feature for better engagement? So I frequently get this question on patch notes, and so I'll say this right now. If you're a small streamer, a huge part of getting more viewers is engaging with and getting to know other members of the community. Now, there are a few ways to do this. One way you do this is by being members of other streamers' communities, because raids are a really valuable way of getting more viewers. And streamers love doing raids, and they often like to do raids to members of their community. So I often encourage people, if they're going to find a channel that they spend time on, if they're a 20 ACCV streamer, don't be sitting and thinking you're going to get a 5,000 ACCV streamer to raid you a bunch. I usually use, this is not scientific, it's seat of the pants, a sort of 5 to X ratio, 5 to 10X ratio, meaning, spend time on streams that are within 5X to 10X of yours, or even your same size, right? And then as they get to know you, they see you chatting, then often they will raid you. Great way to get new viewers. Also, they often would be open to collaborations. Collaborations are a foundation to growing on Twitch. One feature that we haven't been able to come up with is how a small streamer can say, hey, I'm looking for someone to collaborate. We, of course, have the knock feature. That's useful, but we need to do more when you don't know someone. Tags are always useful, okay? But when you're small, I think it's more important to get yourself in front of other people. And then third-party social media. One thing that we're doing is we're investing a lot in trying to improve clip generation and make it easier for you. After you finish streaming, every time, try to find 2 or 3 good clips from your stream and publish to social media.
I think people kind of underestimate the power of raids. That's something that we've talked about a lot on patch notes over my time here. Just like how important raids are, how important it is to like build a community that way. And I think that your note about finding like communities, finding similar size or a little bit bigger communities, building up a presence within those communities and growing together is like really interesting and really key. Also, I just wanted to take this opportunity to shout out, like, if you're talking about or thinking about like how to grow my channel, how to get better viewership, how to establish myself as a brand, etc., I encourage you, anybody watching that hasn't yet, to check out Creator Camp. Creator Camp has tons of info about growing your channel, growing your audience, brand identity, that kind of stuff. Like, Creator Camp is a great place to look for that kind of information and a lot of good tips from insiders, fellow streamers, etc. Dan, I want to answer this question that we skipped over. Oh, go ahead. You got something else off of that?
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly answer this question from the main lady who asked, I may have missed this, but when do Twitch Guild applications open? I can take this one because that's from my team. Twitch Guild applications are open year round. They're always open. You can always apply. We're always looking for guild members to add. We do it in kind of large swaths. So yeah, feel free to apply, and at any time, they're always open. So,
all right. VODs are like YouTube videos, but in Twitch. Would it be possible in the future for creators to profit out of it as well? So you do make money off of VODs. You make ad money off of VODs. Of course, when people are watching a VOD, they also can subscribe. But in general, it's ad money. So you do make money off of VODs today. Okay, which is how you make money off of things on YouTube too. So. Let's see. Okay, a few people have asked about vertical format and what's happening there. And some people know there's stuff going on. Some people are just asking about it. We currently have an alpha out as part of enhanced broadcasting that supports vertical streams. With enhanced broadcasting, we've discovered some challenges on a small number of TV apps, and so we're working to resolve that. Okay, but we will shortly be working to expand this. And the way it works is there's a plugin for OBS called Atom, and then you can give us both a horizontal and a vertical stream, so that way viewers can see the vertical stream. So we have an alpha on that. It's limited, but we're going to be rolling this out to a full beta before too long, so that more people can be testing it and getting it to work for them. I'm really looking forward to that feature. Okay.
Dan, I hate to interrupt you here. I think we got time for one more. We got to start wrapping up here because Mark and I have another tech rehearsal for another stream coming up soon. So.
All right. So somebody says, I'm going to go back to this question before. So it seems there are situations where non-chatting users may not count. That is not the case. I just want to be clear. But is there any event where a chatting user would not count, or all chatting can count? The comment I made was if you had 10 screens open. Well, you're not a viewer if you have 10 screens open. If you have 2 open, then they do count. So I'm not going to tell you where exactly the threshold is. It's to highlight that we do try to detect the case of I want to open up 10 browsers on this one stream to count as 10 ACCV, to try and boost their ACCV, or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever, right? So that isn't a good tactic to spoof your ACCV. But that doesn't mean when you have 2 screens open, yes, that's a legitimate use case because you may be going back and forth between 2 screens. So I'm not going to go through the specifics of the algorithm, but there is no bias at all against people who are not chatting in terms of counting. Okay? We do not have any bias against that whatsoever. All right. Zach,
cool.
I think it's time to wrap up, huh?
It is time to wrap up. Dan, this is our last episode before TwitchCon. Usually during the months of TwitchCon, we don't do an episode of Patch Notes because we let your keynote kind of do the talking for a lot of our big updates. The people want to know, can you give us a sneak preview? What is happening at TwitchCon? Do you want to give us a little hint like Trevor did, what we might be talking about in the keynote at TwitchCon? You don't have to. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but.
Well, interestingly, I give those hints all the time because we're pretty open about some of the work we're talking about. We tend not to hold things just for the keynote. So there are a few things that that's just the timing. So I think we got a lot to talk about. Again, there's a lot we've been working on. I think each year there's excitement because part of it is, even though we might talk about it, we articulate it and understand how it all pieces together. So really looking forward to it. I think there's going to be a lot. I mean, the schedule is sitting here. There's a lot planned this year at TwitchCon. A lot of excitement. We do have a surprise musical guest, which I won't hint to who it is. Everyone can be guessing.
I know who it is.
But I think overall it's going to be a hell of a event.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're almost there now. I've got a couple of big shows that I'm working on, including one. I'm wearing this hat from the Everything Now show. They're putting on a show on the Glitch Theater that I'm really excited for, but tickets are on sale. I know we're mere weeks away, so it's probably a real scramble if you're still planning to get down there, but I highly recommend. TwitchCon is a one-of-a-kind event. Dan, thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for cruising through all of our updates. Thanks for answering so many questions. I also want to take an opportunity to thank Trevor and Ashely for joining us on Patch Notes. We'll hope to have them back in the near future. And lastly, I want to thank all the folks behind the scenes on Patch Notes, our PMMs, our technical director, Big Money Mark T. Thank you, Mark, and drive safe. And I think we're going to do a little raid, Dan. Perhaps you know D-Tune.
I do know D-Tune. No,
we're going to raid
D-Tune well.
D-Tune's
Glad
channel.
we're rating him.
Yeah. And we might be rating D-Tune because he's working with us on something special coming up that we're not ready to announce yet, but maybe we'll announce soon. So stay tuned for that. We're going to head over and hang with D-Tune. When you get in there, let him know that Twitch sent you. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you hopefully at TwitchCon San Diego, but definitely on Patch Notes in November. Anything
And
else,
thank
Dan?
you, Zach, for everything. Great show.
Thanks, boss. All right. We'll catch you. We'll see you in November, if not before. See you all later.
Bye-bye, y'all.